Free Alabama movement inside Alabama's Department of Corrections, supporting the nonviolent peaceful protests for civil and human rights of Alabama prisoners. We continue to profile from inside, continue to bring our video series, continue to present our evidence to the people showing that we living under inhumane conditions, that Department of Corrections is not about corrections, it's not about rehabilitation, it's only about exploiting free labor and exploiting our families through commissary, through fees for everything, anything you can think of, armbands, IDs. We continue to show that the living conditions are inhumane, and we continue bringing real stories of real people, young black men who've been incarcerated, sentenced to very long sentences. Most of them got sentences longer than the amount of time that they've been on the earth. And the Department of Corrections knows that they don't have a way to educate these men, know that they don't have a way to rehabilitate them, and know that they can't prepare them to re-enter back into society and be productive, so they just hold them in prison for extended periods. Today we got a few people in, we got some young guys, they've been incarcerated for a while, 30 years, 20 years, life sentence, and we got Seth, he's been incarcerated, he has a life without sentence. How long you been incarcerated, Seth?
5 years.
Alright, where you from?
From Montgomery.
Okay. Little Yoshi, where you from?
Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile. What's your name? Jarrell Young. Ricardo Easton. Y'all come up, cut that light on, come in that light, because I can't see y'all that good. We'll start with you, little Yoshi. Just give us some background into what you charged with and how long you been incarcerated.
I've been incarcerated since 2006.
Okay. How old were you when you got incarcerated?
17 years old when I got incarcerated.
Okay, so when you caught your case, you were 17, and that's how old you was when they finally apprehended you.
Every year apprehended me when I was 17.
Okay, did you have any prior convictions prior to that?
No, I just had a few robberies, that was it.
Okay, had you been convicted of them?
Yeah, they served 35 years and 13 pensions.
Okay, so you got 35 years total? How many convictions do you have?
I have not that many, but a few. I say something like 4 robberies and 3 assaults.
3 assault cases. Did you complete high school?
No, I came to prison. Even though I've been showing, I've been doing good. It's just they won't give me no help.
All right. What about GED and skill of trade? Do you have those things?
Yeah, I got my GED and I've been in prison. I got one more from another 5 graduated electricity trade.
Okay. What about parole? Do you have a parole date when
I
you
got a parole date 2019.
So that'll be 6 more years.
That'll be 6 more years.
And at that time you've been done how long in prison?
All together I've been done like over 12, 13 years.
12 or 13 years, and you realize that parole is not guaranteed.
Parole ain't guaranteed in state Alabama.
So you pretty far, a long way from home. Do you receive visits? Are your family able to come up and?
Now it's so far from my family, then well, like they see your money here, see your money there, so far to come back and forth. Some folks ain't able to come and see.
So how do you support yourself while you're in prison? You work? Do you have a prison job?
My daily basis, I might be selling a little coffee ball here,
okay,
over here, try to keep me something to eat on.
But that's against the rules. But you have to do that to survive.
Got to do it to survive.
Cause do you work? You got an institutional job?
Well, I will work in the kitchen. I had to survive out the kitchen, bring food out the kitchen, stealing food, and then we work hard. They supposed to give us something. They don't give us nothing. And then we do get caught stealing. We get a write-up.
Okay.
And about 6 more months you got to stay at another camp.
Right. So they give you a job, they make you work for free, and then if you get caught trying to get something to provide for your basic needs, then they write you disciplinary, set your parole off, and do things like that.
They'll set you off, not only set you off, they'll write the writer up like you did more than one thing.
Okay.
As far as you might steal some hot dogs and bread, they might write you up a line to DOC officials and still.
Okay.
They say the food contraband, but they said and giving it, how can it be contraband and you give it to us?
Okay. All right, Ricardo, tell us a little bit about your case, a little bit about your background, how you ended up in Alabama, because we call you Little Cali, so you from California.
I'm from California.
All right, and you ain't got no family out here, so I know your slide down just a little bit. I know your situation is times 2.
Well, I'm serving 20 years sentence on robbery, first degree.
Okay.
Been down for 5 years. I currently have a parole date for 17, well, it says you got 15, but it's not an official parole date. It's just a month and a year of when I might come up.
Right.
So,
How much time you got?
I have 20 years.
Did you complete high school before you came to prison? Have you got your GED or anything since you've been in prison?
No.
Tell us about the living conditions inside of prison, how old you were when you caught your case, when you came to prison, and tell us some of the things you had to experience just being inside the system.
I was 17 when I caught my case.
Okay.
I was 18 when I entered Alabama DOC. The living conditions, man, it's nasty. You know, the food is not fit for human consumption. You know, it's not sanitary. The sanitation is very bad.
Mm-hmm.
The education is underrated. It's not really where it's supposed to be. It's not sufficient to teach anybody. Besides the little classes that, you know, prisoners teach to the young or to the old, that, you know, people that want to be educated, it's not sufficient. And we're the only ones that actually doing something.
Okay, well, I want to ask you about just the incentives that you have. I mean, you're 17, you've been in the street, you're 17 years old. When you come off the street, they give you all this time, and they don't give you any incentives to rehabilitate, to reform yourself. Tell us, what is the mindset of a 17-year-old coming inside the Alabama Department of Corrections, knowing you got 20 years, not knowing when you're going to get out, if you're going to do the whole 20 years? What is the mindset, and what motivates you and influence you while you're inside a prison?
Being 17 and just, you know, being out on the street and, you know, exploring, just having a chance, you know, having your freedom took from you at 17.
Mm-hmm.
And then coming to a prison, you know, it's just like you lose hope until you find something that you know, you can work on, that, you know, that'll give you a motivation. Hey, you know, I can push forward, I can move forward,
Mm-hmm.
try to get out in these less than 20 years, well, I don't have to do the whole thing, you know what I'm saying? You have to find something to motivate yourself.
So how often do you see guys with 20 years end up having to do the whole 20-year sentence?
A lot.
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
So when you see that and you know that, okay, I got 20 years, there's a possibility I might have to do my whole 20-year sentence, and you see guys going up for parole with clear records, GEDs, certificates, they have all the things that they need, but they still deny parole. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that?
It's discouraging because, you know, you get a 20-year sentence and you have a possibility of parole, and we're doing everything that we can to make parole, and then it's still denied to us. Then what is the system actually for?
Right.
And it's for correction, it's for rehabilitation. And if we come here and rehabilitate ourselves, then how can we not be let back out to society?
Exactly. So, speaking to the nonviolent peaceful protest by the Free Alabama movement, do you feel like this would be a positive step as far as bringing reform, knowing the conditions that we live in and knowing that the people don't care anything about us? Do you feel that it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do to be proactive and put pressure on the system in the way that we describe?
I think it's very necessary because there's no pressure being applied. Alabama's doing what they want to do for the system and their politics and everything else that they have going on. And there's no pressure being applied to them to even get us some help in here, you know what I'm saying, to get classes, to, you know, educate us, to get, you know, jobs that they have in the prison that we're not getting paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be something that has to be done, and we're the only ones that can actually do it. You know, if they don't listen to us and they don't hear from us, then we don't know about it.
Okay. All right, I'm going to slide to the other young brother over here. Come on, let Trey play some with him so I can get a good shot. Tell me your name again.
My name is Red.
All right, Red, where you from?
Birmingham.
Birmingham. What part of Birmingham you from?
On the west side of the Barnesville.
Okay. All right. How long you been incarcerated now?
I've been incarcerated since 2006.
2006, so that's 7 years. How old are you now?
I'm 25 years old.
So you were 18 when you got locked up?
I was 18 when I got sentenced, and I was 17 when I got locked up.
Okay, well, all three of y'all are 17 years old when you caught your case. And how much time you got?
I got a life sentence.
Okay, what were you convicted for?
I was convicted of felony murder, which I was initially charged with capital murder, but got convicted of felony murder.
Okay, that's something that we run into a lot in the prison system. You can explain that. In essence, what happened is the prosecutor overcharged you. He charged you with a capital offense that carried the death penalty, trying to take your life. when in reality the facts or whatever the jury determined to be the facts was that you committed a felony murder, and therefore you got a life sentence. Is that correct?
That's correct, but it's the only difference. I just wasn't able to present my case to the jury because I was being railroaded into copping out to something that I initially didn't do, but they weren't giving me no leeway to work my case professionally as far as to prove my innocence.
Okay.
That's why I had to take a time plea and take the life sentence in order not to get life without something that they didn't have no evidence of me doing.
So the lawyer basically well, did you have a court-appointed attorney? Or did you have a paid attorney?
Started off with a court-appointed attorney.
Okay, and he ended up just walking you through the system, the normal steps. We already know how that go, but you weren't getting the representation you need, and you 17-year-olds facing the death penalty. Has you ever been in trouble before?
Nah, not far as, trouble to come in and out of county jail. And, by me being young and at the time, being back and forth in and out of juvenile, just a little minor stuff in and out, as far as the county jail, stuff like that now.
Okay, so with a life sentence, being inside the Department of Corrections for something that happened when you were 17 years old, just tell us some of the things you've seen with other people, either your age group or older timers. How much time do you normally see people doing on a life sentence, and how much time do you realistically expect, knowing the system, how much time you think they're going to make you do on a life sentence?
The time that I normally see people doing to have a life sentence, I usually see people pulling anywhere from 15 to 22, 25 years on that. But me personally, I done already got set in my mind frame, being that I know how the Alabama Department of Corrections is. I done got my mind frame to set to at least do 20 years because my parole date is set for 15 years. And 9 times out of 10, when you go up for the first time, they decline. For whatever reason, they gonna turn you down for parole the first time anyway.
Just automatically turn down. Don't make no difference what your record look like, what you've accomplished in prison. We all know they're gonna turn us down the first time. That's it. And I mean, so you don't have any incentive to do anything. You don't have incentive to the first 15 years. You don't have an incentive to do anything because you know they're gonna have you in prison.
Yeah.
All right. What about educational opportunities and things like that? Did you graduate from high school?
Okay, no, I didn't graduate from high school, but when I did come to prison, I did get my GED and I did get my trade.
Okay. So you got your GED, you got your trade, and pretty much that's all they had to offer.
That's all I had to offer right now, and I haven't been nowhere else. I've been at a maximum security camp since I've been in prison.
Okay. So what about life skills? Do they offer life skills? Have you saw any life skills?
Not to my knowledge, I haven't seen that, and I've been at this camp, like I said, since I've been in prison. I've been at this camp. I haven't seen any program that offer life skills to my knowledge. Right.
Okay. Just I want to do a little bit more background. When you came off the street, were you staying at home with your parents, or you just pretty much standing?
I was attending high school. I was going to high school.
Okay.
Staying at home with my mom.
Okay, and so you never had your own apartment.
Nah, I just shared an apartment. Never had my own.
Never went to the gas company and got a contract for gas, lights, electricity, none of those things.
None of that.
Computer skills. Have you received any computer skills since you've been in prison? Have you even seen a computer since you've been in prison?
I seen one computer, and that was just with the teacher who was a free-word teacher who came to work on the school, reading something to us off the computer that I couldn't even see.
Okay. So how do you take care of yourself? I mean, you're 17, you come out the street, you got a license, you get it. Do you have a job in the prison right now?
I don't have no job.
So how do you take care of yourself? I mean, they not going, even if you had a job, you wouldn't get paid for it.
Get paid for doing no work. So it's like basically when I first came to prison, not knowing what to expect on my day-to-day life, I was relying off, my loved ones, the people that love me from the street or whatnot. Send money for me to do here and there. But being that they ain't able to send me money all the time, we got to come with side hustles because the job that the prison do have for us, they don't pay us for it. So when we do have side hustles, some side hustles, this is considered to be illegal, so they'll take whatever little dope that we done hustle up on, they'll take that, so it's like we doing that in vain.
So they don't want you to have nothing. They don't have any type of positive reinforcement for rehabilitation. Everything is negative. If you do this, I'm going to write you up. You do this, I'm going to fire you. You get some food out of the kitchen, I'm going to do this and that too. But there's no positive side to the rehabilitation.
Nah, none whatsoever, because every time we find ways to motivate ourselves and lift ourselves up from the current situation that we're in, we're going to always be followed with a write-up. So, it's either that, You gonna do what you gonna do and just take the write up and just survive how you survive, or you just gonna give him all turn your stuff over to him and start your hustle all over again.
Okay, okay. All right, I got it. And one final thing I want to ask you about that life sentence. I mean, how do you do a life sentence? You can't EOS it. So you realize there's a prospect that they can hold you for the rest of your life for something that you did when you were 17 years old.
Correct. The only way I get through my day-to-day time is doing this life sentence that I have is basically interacting with my partners that I have in here that we be on the same page. So, because right now my mindset, like I said before, I know they're going to turn me down the first time. So before I even get back to the streets or back to my family, to my loved ones, I know in my mind, in my heart, I got to do 15 years right now. So therefore, really, it's like the time that they giving the niggas, it'll make me lose focus. So, I try to find other things to just interact with until these 15 years are over. Then once I've done my 15 years, then that's when I start looking forward to going home.
Okay, okay. I'm glad you put it like that, because really that's basically what they're doing. They're making us do a lot of dead time. Now, in 15 years, you take a 17-year-old, and in 15 years with the signs they have, they looking at your PSI report, they know your background information, they do a psychological evaluation once you get to Kilby. So within 15 years, they should be able to address the problems that you have and have you prepared to go back to the street. But in 15 years, you saying, you already know that in 15 years, you just going to be going up for your first opportunity. What if you prepare yourself before the 15 years is up? Do you think there's a possibility you could go home then?
Nah, I don't feel like it's a possibility because the Alabama Department is considered that way, and they've been doing stuff for so long to where it ain't breaking the cycle. So, I don't feel like it's going to be broke just for me.
Okay, all right. How do you feel about Free Alabama movement? I don't know how much you know about it, but it's a nonviolent, peaceful protest being organized by prisoners for prisoners to bring reform to the system. We want to change the living conditions that we live in. We want to raise the standard of living up. We want to improve upon the free labor system and start requiring them to pay us for our labor. And we also want to bring sentence and parole reform for people like you, people with life without parole like myself, like Seth. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's a positive step? What do you think the state's response would be to a nonviolent, peaceful protest?
Well, how I feel about the movement that, we in the midst of doing now, I feel a positive way about it. I feel like in the end, some positive results can come from it, and I'm bored because I know that it's going to change the conditions in which I'm living under, and everybody else that's in prison is going to change all of that. So I'm for that. But then my response to how I feel like they going to act towards it may be in the niggas a way to cover it up or, try to shut it down because they see we doing something positive, try to improve our living conditions. But really, that's not what they want. So, it may be kind of hard getting off the ground at first because we got to go through so many obstacles for to do it. But, once I heard about it, I'm bored because it's a positive thing and it's going to change the living conditions that we need. Okay.
All right, I appreciate you for your time, man. And, we'll be in touch. We're going to continue to build. We're going to continue to grow the movement. Ain't nothing they can do to stop it. They can't make us go to work. They can't kill us. And then we nonviolent peaceful protesters, but we gonna defend ourselves if we have to. So ain't nothing they can do to stop it. This is what it's gonna do.
Okay.
All right, come on around here, Chet. All right, and the next person up for the interview series is Chet. Just tell us your name and give us a little background about who you are, where you from, how much time you got.
I'm Sid Johnson from Montgomery. Got life without for a while, became first class 870.
Life without parole.
Life without parole for robbing a drug dealer. They know got dope. He in and out the system the same way I'm in.
Okay, and so now they saying that based on that, you're not able to be rehabilitated, what they call incorrigible. Nothing else can be done with you. They just throwing you away in prison for the rest of your life. How do you feel about that? Is that true?
No, it ain't true. I can be very rehabilitated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They say they sentenced me off my past. It ain't got nothing to do with the case at hand, for real.
Okay, so what were your prior convictions?
I got a manslaughter, 2 cell cases, and a gun case.
Okay, and based on that, they saying you can never return to the street. Once you get life without parole, can you go to school?
I can't do nothing.
Can't go to school. You can't get a skill or trade. What about classification? Do you see classification?
Nah, you don't even hear from them.
What about psychology? Do they call you up there to do a psychological evaluation to see what mind state you in, to see if you're going to stay in the mind state that caused you to commit whatever offense you're in prison for, Well, how do they evaluate you for change?
They don't, unless you ask for it.
Other than that, you just in a cell and you stuck.
Other than that, I'm just in here.
What about the court system? I know you done filed some things in court. I done assisted you with some things in the courts. Tell us how that works.
Denied. You know, still waiting. And that's all.
No civil rights.
Nah, and they done broke plenty of laws, you feel me, but they ain't respecting it.
And living inside a 2-man cell, living conditions as they is what? I mean, you already got a life without parole sentence, and then when you get in here, you have to deal with this. Just tell us some of the things you have to deal with to, to make it through day to day in prison.
Really, it feels it's kind of aggravating when you overcrowded in here and you among other men and y'all damn near rubbing elbows in here. You feel me? Cause some people ain't fortunate as other people, and some people ain't got people to look out for them. None of that out there. So ain't no money coming in. People don't, what I'm saying, man, it makes you angry for real when you're in here broke and you around other people and they mad. You just, what I'm saying, you trying your best to deal with other people's attitudes. It's kind of hard, you know what I'm saying? It's dangerous too.
Yeah, speak to the danger, because, I think you had a homeboy that got killed. Tiger, tell us about that if you would, please.
My partner Tiger got killed because he was somebody told this guy that he stole his phone, and he ain't even the one that stole it, but he's known for stealing phones around here. So dude stabbed him like 18 times.
Where the police was at? Was any police around? Or?
Nah, no police around.
So he lost his life. How many more people been killed that you can recall since you've been here?
At least 3 other people.
We know we had Tiger, dude in lockup just got killed. KG got killed. Oh, boy got tired of it. Q1.
Yeah. Thing about what's his name died. Felicia got killed.
Yeah, Felicia died. All these crimes, all these murders with police around anyone.
Danny Ocerbud, he told the captain he need to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And the captain told him, no, Ocerbud, he died.
What about the guy that died when Sergeant Jones lost his stripes? Dude died in the front.
He got beat.
What his name was?
I can't think, man. He got beaten locked up. They wanted
Ronald Bowden or something like that.
They wanted to write his folks and nothing, but his street died up there.
Yeah, Skeet had the tumor on the back of his head, not on the back of his head. They let it stay so long. JB died.
White old school trip who said G5, he died up there in handball.
And Beck up there now, he's sick. He about to die.
He gave was basically the understuff that could have been avoided.
Yeah.
Medical or the medical evaluation situation or the security purpose of people that they just not caring about the living conditions that we in.
And basically what we're dealing with is just purely warehousing the people, stacking people on top of each other, and they not concerned with safety, they not concerned with our health, they not concerned with our living, they just concerned with getting that free labor up out of us and getting the money that they can get from outside. What's up, King?
Cool, man. Cool. I seen the phone that I wanted you to shoot up.
What it is?
Big boy. Spider webs. We talking about them hoes that living like they bulletproof up there. So many big boy spiders.
You seen the one in the kitchen?
I missed that one.
There's one in the kitchen when you coming out the kitchen about 2 feet long. Yeah, we got that.
They don't have no child within it, leaving everywhere. The dust and all the bacteria and stuff, the rats, roaches, drop down in your tray. They got the sand, they dusty, dirty, the whole prison.
Yeah, we've been shooting videos up in there. We've been getting a lot of that footage. We already got that out to the people. So, we're going to continue to get it. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to stop because we don't want people to think that we just prisoners in prison want to get back out to commit more crime. We in prison, we want education. We want rehabilitation. We want to get dudes prepared so that they can get back out there. They can be good sons, be good husbands, be good fathers to their children, and be leaders in their community. But the state is not providing us with these opportunities. Like these young guys come in, all of them 17 years old, all of them got extended periods of time in prison, and you just heard from yourself, they not receiving the rehabilitation that they need. The DOC has a budget probably close to $500, maybe close to $1 billion. We don't know, but we don't know where the money is. All we see is people piled on top of each other, and we don't see no education program. We don't see no rehabilitation program. Parole board is not working. We read in the articles from the Montgomery Advertiser that there are 67,000 people out on the streets of Alabama on parole and probation. There's another 30-some thousand people that's incarcerated in prison. So you have over 100,000 people in the state of Alabama under the jurisdiction of the court. The people on the streets are paying fines. They paying for leg monitors. They paying for this. They paying for that. The people in prison, we paying for armbands. We paying for ID. We paying to go to sick call. We paying for a dirty urine. We paying for this. But all the labor is free. So we're trying to figure out, when is enough is enough. That's the statement that we're making through Free Alabama Movement. We've had enough. We want to see some changes in the system. If the politicians don't want to make the change, if the officials in the DOC don't want to make the change, then we're going to assume the responsibility to make the change. Our changes are coming through nonviolent peaceful protest. We're stopping the free labor in the system. We're taking all the workers out of the kitchen. We're taking all the workers out of the industry. We're taking all the workers off of maintenance. We're taking all of our labor off the market because we are a key component in the system, but we don't have any chips at the table. Y'all ain't recognizing us for the asset that we are to the system, so we're going to remove that asset from y'all and show y'all that we want the things that we are entitled to under the law. We're entitled to receive education. Y'all know we got problems because there's an 80% illiteracy rate when people come inside the Department of Correction, and there's an 80% illiteracy rate of people going outside the Department of Correction, so y'all ain't helping nobody. So we can't continue to tolerate this system, and so we're going to do something about it. Back to you, King West. How long you been locked up? Come around here, let me get you on here. All right. How long you been incarcerated, King?
9 years.
How old were you when you got locked up?
17.
Another 17-year-old. So we got 4 people in here. All of them 17 years old when they got incarcerated. How much time you got?
Life,
For what?
simple murder, and discharge of firearms to occupied dwelling.
Is these your only prior offenses?
First offense.
First offense.
First offense.
Attempted murder. Discharge of firearms. You got a life sentence.
Life on the 20 on discharge of firearms.
Are they running concurrent or consecutive?
They ready to go life over and everything.
Okay, so how do you feel 17 years old, in prison, off the street, with a life sentence? Tell what prison life is like for a 17-year-old with a life sentence.
Oh, it ain't easy. I feel cheated. For the simple fact, at the time that they gave me my sentence, I hadn't even begun living life yet. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, we be young, we make all type of mistakes, and you know what I'm saying? But it don't take all that for me to know that whatever I did then wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? A life sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Shit crazy in here, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's already hard enough on our folks out there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, if it's hard for them, these are people we have to depend on. And, it's extra hard for us in here.
Because we don't have nothing.
We don't got no help.
No jobs, no paying jobs.
Period.
No.
How you expect for, like you said, to pay for dirty urine, sick calls, IDs, wristband? I ain't got nothing now. They catch me now, I got to pay for one. How you expect for us to pay for all this when we ain't got no rapid income? Y'all ain't paying us for none of the labor like you say we do out here. This our land. We keep this shit up. We do all the grass, the cooking, the paint, all this old shit, but we don't get rewarded for it.
And then look at the conditions that we live under while we do all this stuff.
Yeah, this shit fucked up. The roof falling in, rats crawling through your windows. This is the type of shit that we have to live in. You got roaches, literally big cockroaches living in the room with you. You go to eat, shit dangling all over your head, falling in your food. It's real. This ain't nothing that we making up. We gonna shoot it up for y'all. Y'all gonna see it in the raw. This shit kind of fucked up for us. You know what I'm saying?
So, tell me, when you go up for parole, when
2020.
and how many years you been done in prison by then?
15.
15 years in prison. So just being honest and being realistic, the time you've been in prison, people with life sentences, going up for parole after 15 years, what are the chances of making parole for you?
It's rough. It ain't high. You know what I'm saying? My chances may be a little low because, I came into prison young, so I was kind of wild still, so I got distilleries in my jacket.
Mm-hmm.
But now they ain't gonna look at it like, they gonna look at it like, oh, he ain't rehabilitated, he ain't doing this, he ain't doing that. But they ain't in here on our everyday living. They don't know what we really going through.
And at 17 years old, you only prepared for so much.
That's all.
I mean, some of the stuff you ain't even prepared to deal with.
Nah, I ain't.
But do you see resources available to receive help? Psychologists, are they on call?
Nah.
Are they calling you on the regular?
But matter of fact, I've been trying to get with Dr. Hogan for years now. I'm talking about literally request slips and everything, trying to hire a psychiatrist, and I ain't got that appointment or visit yet. You know what I'm saying? I've been trying to holler at somebody. We got one who don't even understand nothing.